All right, people. Thank you for joining us here. I'm trying to find out if this is even broadcasting right now. The should be able to give me some idea as to if I'm live or not. I would actually welcome any of you to give acknowledgement. I'm going to use this camera, and I've also got this this sky view camera here, and I want to demo a couple instruments. You can see there's a bit of a delay between the two. This is a brand new, just been completed, fret leveled and dressed and polished, and I still need to, not entirely completed. I'm going to take the plate off and paint with shielding paint in here. Not that it's particularly noisy, but there I can hear a little bit of a high buzz. I think that once I put the shielding paint in, it's going to fix that. But this is an alder body, maple neck, ebony fretboard, Telecaster, fairly standard, but with gold hardware. It's got gold standard Fender tuners, which are really nice. And then the a Babbitt's bridge, which I found to be like phenomenal. I've got it on one of my I have a Tune-o-matic type, like a Gibson. One of my Gibson builds has the combination of a bridge and tailpiece from Babbitt's, and it's really nice. And but this is the tele, and it's seriously great. Like super accurate intonation, super accurate string height setting. In fact, after leveling the frets and polishing them off, I've almost achieved a point where the guitar is too easy to play. The string height is so low to the fretboard that it's almost awkward to play it because I'm expecting some sort of resistance to it. But it's so far it's a significantly amazing instrument, and it is. I've named it Elvis. So, as I said, it's also got the gold backplate on it, and this little thing here, which is, I hated drilling those little holes for the and putting in the tiny little cups for the strings. So these come in one piece, and I got a gold one and put it in. So everything is Elvis. Elvis has entered the building. The with gold pickguard screws. It's white and gold with a little bit of black and chrome tussed in there. And it sounds nice. It really is like a tele tone. The pickups are Fender Texas Special on the bridge. A Wilkinson. This is the Alnico 5 Mini Humbucker. And I'll turn this up a bit so you can hear it. And that's the bridge pickup. I don't know if you can see it. I'm pretty sure you can't, but down here is my, I'm not going to pull it out. We've got a Plethora X5 TC Electronics effects unit. You can hear the buzz coming in, which is partially the it's just the grounding, and then and I've got a Tech 21 RK5 floorboard with it's the Mark II fly rig. It's got an overdrive, the OMG Ricky Kotzen overdrive, and a boost / compressor circuit on it, along with a Sans amp, and it has its own reverb and delay, analog delay, and yeah. And then the delay you can set up to be like a roto, like a Leslie, like a Faco Leslie. So I'm right now I'm just using the Sans amp circuit, which is just simply to act as a clean amp, so you can hear what this thing sounds like. So that's the bridge. You can hear it's like really twangy. The next step over here is these two in reverse phase parallel. We've got parallel in phase. Actually, I think this was parallel. This is in series. The two. And then finally, neck pickup. Actually really seriously enjoy playing this. It's going to take me a little bit time getting used to, but this is, and let's just put it this way, this is like a bargain. This is going to be, I'm probably going to sell it just for put up for sale for probably $600. This is considering the tuners, Fender tuners, the Babbitt's bridge, and the work that has been put into it, because this took a lot of it took time, and I also had to order some polishing discs from StewMac for my Dremel to really polish these frets up and get them nice and smooth. And this thing is just like ridiculous, and and so yeah, it's available. I think I just have to put the strap buttons on, and like I said, I'm gonna put shielding paint inside the cavity here. It's got a electro. I want to say electrostatic, but it's not. It's got a high-end cup for the jack on it. Not just like a cheapo piece of crap from like that you would see on a Fender or a Squire that'd be this price. Nothing about this is cheap. This is like, this blows away any Squire out of the water. And so that's this. And of course, let's put it on the distortion. You've kind of heard it a little bit. Okay, folks, let's move on to one that ended up being as like essentially a rebuild. It was a great sounding guitar. Problem was the neck. On the original neck that I put on, this part here was too long. And so I put it on a body that was intended for, it was a Warmoth body intended for a Warmoth neck with a 25.5 inch scale. And this extension on the original neck pushed it out so that it was actually, the bridge was about, well, this far too far back. And I ended up having to compensate by really bringing the saddles back that equivalent amount, which put it right above the pivot points, and it was not a great solution, and it was not perfectly in tune, in tone, intonated. So for this guitar, I took one of my necks, and in fact I'm trying these out. These are the ratio gears from Graphtec. They're a little spendy, in my opinion, but they have balanced. They call them balanced geared machine heads, so that on your thicker strings, it takes a lot more twists of the tuning machine to actually get a full turn, and on the thinner gauges, it's back closer to the normal, which is, I think it's 12-to-1 is on the high E, whereas most other tuning machines I've been going with have been the 18-to-1 ratios that allow for better tuning, but it was a compromise across the board. This way, I have a lot better control over the thicker strings, because it turns them fewer turns. It turns the spindle slower, so you can get a far better tuning of the lower strings, and then it balances that all out across the board. In the meantime, I'll give you a quick revise of this. So it's a Svilpa custom guitar's neck. As you can see, it's got a really nice sort of a little deeper offset than a standard Fender, so it gets the angle for the strings down and eliminates the need of it like any kind of string tree to hold them down. Then there's the Graphtec nut over here. I got to do a little trimming here, but it's in there. It's a standard Fender size Graphtec nut. You filed the fret slots down so that it's really low on the, but still clears the first fret. And then of course, this means now I can set the saddles up correctly, because they were sitting right at the edge of this metal before, and just was not a practical solution. In fact, the two E strings could not go any further because they would be running into the posts. So with a new neck, I had to route out a little bit more in the cavity to bring it forward, and that meant routing out the pickguard a little bit, but as you can see, it turned out fairly well. If I didn't show it to you, you probably wouldn't know. But the neck is right up against the pickup, and of course it's got the countersunk bolts into the neck. It's a roasted maple neck, roasted maple unfinished, so that it doesn't really need a finish, but you can. I've oiled it with lemon oil to make it nice and slick, and of course, like, did everything that I described with the other guitar. I filed, I leveled the frets, and then came back, recrowned them, and then used the Dremel tool with the polishing discs to polish them up. And I could probably lower the action a little bit more on this. Let's do that, because it's been set up to do that. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to just get in here and lower things. I want to make sure that the plate is level with the body. It's parallel to the body, so there's no uneven gap there. Let's plug her in. Now, my son played around with this a lot last night. My oldest boy, and so it's it's a little lower, especially now that we moved the bridge down, so of course it dropped the string tension. So I've got to crank up the... He was saying that the white, he play tested both the white tele and this thing, and he was like saying that the white tele is too easy to play, and he didn't like it very much because it wasn't set up like his. It wasn't set up as easy to play as his as the Sterling Petrucci model that he's got. So I've got to lower the pickups a little bit now. And anyways, he said that this one, with it being set a little higher, was closer to how the Petrucci is set up. This is a little too low. So you get to see like some of this is just like trial and error, finding the right sweet spot. And I've got the RK5 has got a tuner on it, which is what I'm looking at right now to get it to be in tune. Now it's so low, the action is so low that I have to actually adjust my picking, because it's, even though I'm an extremely light picker, and of course he made mention to the fact that on both instruments the toggle switch is set up backwards. So this is actually on the neck pickup, that's the bridge pickup, and then Richie Castellano, who's one of the band geeks, and also is touring with Blue Oyster Cult. He essentially built one of these with the Brian May pickups out of a Music Man, or like the Sterling, the sort of Wolfgang model or whatever they want to call it, but it's the same idea. This is more an offset than the standard Music Man model, but he built one, and so essentially that was the germ for this idea of being able to build a Brian May. I'm not a big fan of the way that how the real Brian May custom guitars, even though they are perfectly perfect, or like pretty close to perfect clones of the original Red Special, it just doesn't feel right. I used to have one, and I tried playing it for several months. In fact, I tried on 2 different occasions. I bought one back in like 10 years ago, and didn't really like it enough to hang on to it, and then I got one when we were in Danville back about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and again just could not seem to get connected to it. So when I saw Richie's work on what he did, I thought, well, like, who better to try this out than for me to give it a go. And then I reached out to him and asked him what his wiring diagram was, because he essentially went through, there's some 12 or 11 combinations of things on the original, because they're all little toggle switches and out-of-phase switches. he went through and picked out the ones that the settings that he really liked, and then worked out the wiring diagram. And so he sent along the original drawing for the diagram. I did a little bit of extra work on it and put in a super switch and wired it up. So this is just the neck pickup. You've got some combination that I can't remember. But you can hear they're like very different from each other. And that's just the bridge. So I think this one is these two pickups in series, and which is the classic Brian May wiring sound, sound from Bohemian Rhapsody and Hammer to Fall. Incidentally, the whole idea on the tele and a few other instruments that I've got, in fact, like some of the custom Svilpa guitars instruments with the super switch, was the whole idea of having these two pickups in series was totally stolen from the Brian May sound. Long time ago, when I released my first album, which was in 2006, 2005, I built another, like a similar tele out of an ash body, and slightly wider and flatter radius maple neck. I put in some Muy Grande, Rio Grande pickups, and one of them with a 4-position toggle switch on the tele, and then the 4th position was to have the 2 sets of pickups in series, and it sounded killer. And then I sold it to a friend of mine, and I've never quite gotten the even with the same pickups, but I've never quite gotten the same exact tone. This is getting the closest, I think, right here. And so this one is, I can easily build something similar for anybody who's interested in something like this. This is an amazing instrument. The neck goes without really like screaming from the rooftops just how great my stuff is, but the neck is fantastic. It is incredibly slick to move around on. There's just enough tactile feeling that you can sort of anchor in and dig in on. This position, I think, is all 3 pickups. Could very well be in series. incredibly fun to play. Incredibly fun to play. All right, so folks, I'm gonna log off now. It's been half an hour. I think I've bored all of you to death sufficiently. Let's. I'm going to take you back to my title sequence. Reminder: this is Svilpa Custom Guitars, and we build instruments. We can build instruments for you by request, and I hope to speak with some of you soon. I know a couple of people have already reached out, and I've already built a couple of instruments for people, and they've been like profoundly happy so far with them. So let's talk. Thanks very much.